Karl Linaeus was born on May 23, 1707. He was a Swedish scientist who laid the foundations of modern taxonomy / the science of identifying, naming and classifying organisms / The great Swedish biologist Karl von Linné was born in a small village. He comes from a family of farmers and priests. His passion for nature was evident from his childhood. In those days, it was usual for a man who studied to become a clergyman to exchange his surname for something more refined.
The new one could be the name of his village or home farm but in a Latin form.
So when Linnaeus' father set out to study theology, he took the name of the linden tree which grew on the.
When Karl enrolled at Lund University, he chose the Latin form of his name, Linnaeus, and became Carolus Linnaeus.
That was common practice for students in Europe.
He was popular with his interesting lectures. He constantly asked his students to bring various specimens to study and describe, but he gained in popularity mostly with his nature.
The story goes that on one such a trip, he met a donkey. It bared its teeth at him, and he said, "If I knew how many teeth every single species has, I could sort them out into grow."
In 1732 Linnaeus was awarded funding for a long-planned journey to Lapland. In the harsh northern land he traveled about 2,000 kilometers.
He discovered over 100 species of plants unknown to science, collected samples of minerals, observed and described birds. In 1735, with the support of various scientists who estimate highly his ideas, Karl Linnaeus published the famous pamphlet Systema Naturae, one of his major works.
It contains 12 pages. It was the first edition of his classification of lithoforms.
Karl Linnaeus was one of the first to describe, arrange and give scientific names of the living things. He grouped known species in 3 kingdoms.
The system, this is Ariadne's thread in botany, without it everything becomes chaos, wrote Karl Linnaeus.
Animals, for instance, he represented on 2 pages in 6 columns, each one named after one of Linnaeus' classes.
Besides these 6 classes, Linnaeus set off half a column for the so-called paradoxes, which included mythical animals like the unicorn, the griffin, the phoenix, the dragon, etc. The classification system of Linnaeus of animal and plant kingdom is still used today. Grouping is made up of units called taxon. The grouping of organisms is based on these common features and differences. Each subsequent taxon of species has a larger volume than the previous one. Karl Linnaeus designed a system of naming organisms, called binomial, which gave each one 2 names, genus and species.
For example, mountain lion, cougar and puma are all common names for the same animal. The name you decide to use probably depends on where you live.
Karl Linnaeus was the first person to place humans in the primate family and to describe bats as mammals rather than birds.
Simple classification of complex animal man according to science, phylum Chordata, subtype Cranial, class Mammalia, order Primata, suborder Higher monkeys, family Hominid, genus H.
Not only is Linnaeus considered the father of taxonomy, he was also a pioneer in the study of ecology.
He was one of the first to describe relationships between living things and their environments.